This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and wide. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I'm Beverly Allig, a member of this congregation, and I'm glad to be worshiping with all of you today. Leading worship with me today are Reverend Margalie Belizaire, our music director, Aubrey Connelly-Candelario, Barbara Howe, and Alison Issen. Today we will take a look at the parable, the Good Samaritan, from a different perspective. We welcome all of you to join us as we explore Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into a community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here, regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we are a non-creedal community and do not subscribe to a specific set of beliefs. We live by a covenant that encourages ethical behavior, affirms democracy, celebrates the worth of each individual, and unites us in a search for truth and meaning. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation, go to orlandouu.org or email welcometeam@orlandouu.org and join us after the service in our usual fellowship, where we gather with each other and chat. One of the breakout rooms is the Welcome Center, where you can bring any questions you have about our church. The meeting number and passcode are on your screen, which will be repeated at the end of the service. All are welcome. We have two special announcements today. Come to a Q&A with the nominating committee at 12:30 p.m. today via Zoom on how 1U chooses its elected leaders and find out if being a member of the Board of Trustees is right for you. The Zoom link can be found in the weekly update. 1U is once again open for in-person gatherings starting tomorrow, February 28th. So next Sunday's service will be offered both in person and online. But remember to register, bring proof of full vaccination, and a mask for in-person service on March 6th. Announcements are on slides before and after the service. All have links in the weekly update or on our website. We're glad you are worshiping with us today.
Please join us in our familiar words. Please join us in our familiar words as we light the chalice. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share.
As we gather together this morning to worship, let's be mindful that this past week has been an especially difficult one for so many. In the larger world community, the people of Ukraine are under attack, and people are dying and are having to flee from their homes for safety. And I'm also thinking of those who are returning home, putting themselves in harm's way to help however they can, putting their lives at risk in spite of their fear. And 10 years ago, this past Thursday, Trayvon Martin, a 17-year-old young black youth, was shot and killed not too far from here in Central Florida while simply walking and eating Skittles. And of course, so many more destructions of black bodies have happened since, including the very public and brutal killing of George Floyd. I'm also thinking of all the young people, especially the young people who put their lives at risk protesting for justice in spite of their fear. So I call us to worship this morning with "We Are Not Done" by Odette Fulbright Folsom. Do not think we are finished. Oh no. We will never be finished, never just done, until the light of justice is lit behind every eye. Do not think we will be silent. No. There will not be silence until the world has sung the names of the dead with full throats, and still we will sing on. Do not think fear is the end of us. Oh no. You are broken in mind and heart if you even imagine that our fear for our lives is the end of this story. We are braver than you have ever conceived, and you will not be the end of us. We have come to take back the world that is the inheritance of better children, better lovers, better days. There will be love again, but justice is our demand now. You will not take us down. We are endless, firelit, determined, and we are coming for you. In memoriam, Eric Gardner. Please join me in singing opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And the choir, the Chalice Choir, wishes to dedicate this hymn in memory of Mary Lynn Boris. You will notice that she's featured in the recording.
Here you go. Wrong page.
361.
Open your ears. Megan Mathiasen. Once, there were 3 wise women. Their names were Patrice, Opal, and Alicia. They were wise because they started to notice something. They started to notice that unfair and scary things were happening around them. They were wise because when they noticed this, they spoke out and did something about it. Alicia was upset when she heard about Black people being treated unfairly. She heard about an African-American boy who was killed, and she thought, I have a brother and he is Black. Does his life matter? This was very upsetting for Alicia, and she decided to say, Black lives matter. Patrice heard Alicia and agreed with her. Of course Black lives matter, Alicia, Patrice said. All people's lives and all animals' lives matter. But Alicia said, it feels like a lot of people don't agree that Black lives matter as much as other lives. Patrice noticed that Alicia was right, and it made her sad. But even more than that, it made her angry. She was glad that Alicia was saying, Black lives matter. So Patrice decided to say it too, and to say it louder. Opal heard her friend saying, Black lives matter, and she thought, they are right. More people need to hear this. Opal decided to tell lots and lots of people. She told everyone she knew and asked them to tell everyone they knew. Soon, hundreds and thousands of people were saying it. Black lives matter. Alicia said some important words. Her friend Patrice helped to say them louder, and their friend Opal made sure that together they said it to everyone. All 3 of them were very wise women. They noticed that something was wrong, and they decided to do something. The 3 wise women all did different things, and they helped each other so that today there are signs and bumper stickers and lots of people all over the world saying, Black lives matter. And next time you come to church, look out front and you'll see we have a great big banner that says Black lives matter. Will you say it?
Thank you for that story, Alison. As we make space for the joys and concerns of this congregation, I invite you to join in our communion of names and add in the chat the names of those who are in your heart this morning, whether due to a joy or a sorrow. As always, bring your joys and your sorrows as we come together here to worship. Your whole self is welcome in this sacred space we are creating together. Kat's great-aunt, Chella Wong, passed away peacefully at home on Thursday night, February 25th. Though not unexpected given her advanced age, she will be missed. Let's send loving kindness to Kat and her family. Diana Saftler sent this concern. I have a concern for joys and concerns. I am half Ukrainian, and I visited my mom's remaining family in Lviv 6 years ago. The people there remember the brutality of the Soviet system, the famines that were caused to enforce collective farming, the repression and punishment for speaking out. It scares me that the best the free world can do is say, if you spill innocent blood, it will cost you money. And that the age of not allowing big countries to invade small countries with impunity has come to an end. When might make right can be the way of the world. Please pray for Ukraine, Diane asked. Yes, let's do pray for the people of Ukraine, whose country continues to be under attack, even right now as we meet. Let's pray for their safety, and our hearts go out especially to members of this community who have direct connection to the people of Ukraine. May you be comforted. Libby Jackson sent this, remembering 17-year-old Trayvon Martin on the 10th anniversary of being killed in Sanford, and all the senseless killings of people of color that still continues. There is still so much work to be done. Let us pray for the safety of Black bodies, for the joys and sorrows shared, and for those held close to our hearts. Let's pray. Let's celebrate, and let's send each other healing energy. As Black History Month comes to an end, I invite us into meditative prayer with a prayer I wrote shortly after the George Floyd murder. This will be followed by a moment of silence. Spirit of light and love, spirit of resistance, spirit of generosity, that which serves as our conscience in this work that we do to dismantle white supremacy, to empower the marginalized, to insist that Black lives matter. We have been angered. We have been saddened. We have been pushed to the brink once more. We are also inspired and seem resolved to do better this time, to not simply get to the other side of this moment, but to get there morally healthier, to get to a safer space for Black bodies. Spirit, help us to understand that we each have a role in justice work, for our liberations are tied to one another's. Give us the clarity of mind to know what our individual part is in the struggle, that there are many ways to protest injustice. Help us to find our way and commit to it. Spirits, we ask for guidance. Send us strength and endurance. Help us to give our all to this and hold nothing back, for precious lives depend on it. We will be imperfect. Rest assured that we will mess up over and over again, and we must do it anyway. May we summon the courage to tear down this system of injustice and get busy creating a world community with justice for all. May it be so. Now, join me in singing our centering hymn, There is More Love Somewhere. Words will be on the screen.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. there is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
You accepted, like a beast of burden, the whip of a stranger's curse, and the mindless menace it holds, along with the scars it leaves as a definition you spend your life refuting. Although that hateful word is only a slim line drawn on a shore and quickly dissolved in a sea world any moment when an equally mindless wave fondles it, like the accidental touch of a finger on a clarinet stop that the musician converts into silence in order to let the true note ring out. Toni Morrison.
We invite your financial support to the many ministries of the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. You can make an offering online to support the many ministries of this congregation by simply going to orlandou.org and click the donate button in the upper right corner, send a text, or mail a check. You may also support our Share the Plate partner, Coalition of the Immokalee Workers, by finding a link to their organization in our weekly newsletter. Please let us know you donated by dropping a line to Gabby, our program assistant.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious.
When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Hey. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. With the sharpest words wanna cut me down. Gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
I don't know about you, but I now experience the parable, the Good Samaritan, in a completely different way from how I did before. You know, the story recounted by Jesus in the Gospel of Luke, answering the question, who is your neighbor? Asked by someone who probably should have known this, but was testing Jesus. And the story, a traveler was robbed and beaten half to death and left on the side of the road, maybe left there to die. A priest came along and crossed to the other side of the road and continued on his way. Then a Levite came along and did the same. Neither of them stopped to help this dying man. The understanding here is that those two people, the priest and the Levite, should have been natural neighbors to the traveler, as they, like Jesus, are a storyteller. They were all Israelites. At some point, a Samaritan came along. Now, Samaritans, according to history, were quite disliked by Israelites. So in this scenario, it would have been expected that he too would have crossed the road and not engage at all. Instead, this hated Samaritan not only stopped and promptly provided care, but went on to take the stranger with him on his journey, paid for the stranger's stay at an inn while continuing to care for this man for 2 days, seemingly putting his own business on hold. And when this Samaritan needed to leave for a bit, he paid the innkeeper to take care of this stranger, promising additional payment if what he gave was insufficient. Clearly, out of those 3 passersby, the one who behaved in a neighborly fashion is the Samaritan. As we know, parables are meant to teach something. They are meant to be a moral or spiritual lesson in the Christian tradition. And the moral of this story, the moral of the Good Samaritan, or at least a couple of its lessons, are that race, ethnicity should not dictate who we help in moments of crisis, that we need to do right by one another, regardless of beliefs or background. I adhere to this holy idea, and I generally felt a level of softness or softening up in me when I consider the phrase, the Good Samaritan, and what it implied. Like most things, though, there is more to the story. It is my morning spiritual practice, or at least one of them, for me to read a prayer 3 times with pauses in between each reading to reflect on what rises to the surface for me, similar to the Lectio Divina practice. A while back, I was reflecting on the prayer on Jericho Road by Diane Rollert. At some point in the meditation, the Good Samaritan kept coming up for me, but not in that familiar, soothing way. I could feel a shift in me. I began to wonder why the parable is called the Good Samaritan, when in its telling, Jesus did not qualify what type of a Samaritan this person was. Something that got lost as the story traveled and was retold is that Samaritans were an oppressed people. So this important element of the parable has taken a less and less central space to where it's not even considered anymore, when really that's what made the parable significant. When we hear the Good Samaritan parable in today's time, the story is usually modified where the people involved are on equal footing, or people of similar social group who simply didn't get along. Furthermore, very few folks of our time have ever heard of Samaritans outside of the context of this story. Samaritans have become, in a way, mascots, not unlike how sports teams are named after indigenous people of this land. And we have singled out the Good Samaritan, an exceptional Samaritan, perhaps. Other oppressed people, or those who have been relegated to the margins, are viewed and or treated similarly. Phrases such as the first, the only, you're different, are commonplace for such identities. On the other hand, when a black person breaks the law, every black person is deemed a criminal in the eye of the oppressor, as this provides the justification for the continued oppressive treatment. There's a white acquaintance of mine who claims to be uncomfortable around black people because when she was in her 20s, she was robbed by a young black man who stole her purse. She is now in her 60s and continues to feel, or at least felt justified in judging all black people by this one single act. The second, or maybe it was the third time, she mentioned this to me as if wanting me to validate her stance. I replied, "How many acts of kindness have you benefited from black people since that one incident? And more importantly, how many times have you been hurt by a white person throughout your life? And has that impacted how you engage white people?" She responded, To her, each instance of good-heartedness from a black person was an outlier, or was done by a black person who was different, the good black person. I could not tell you how many times I've heard, "You're different," and depending on how comfortable the person is in their opinion, they might add, "from other black people." I'm not alone in this. Many black folks have had to suffer such insult while at the same time be expected to receive them as compliments, to be grateful to be deemed better than other black folks, and therefore closer to white folks who are the standard. The idea that good could simply be one of the many manifestations of black people is not logical for my acquaintance and many others who nurture anti-black sentiments. It is not something they readily make space for. I mean, how else can someone continue to mistreat a people without believing they are deserving of such maltreatment? And the most insidious part of this is that it becomes a responsibility of the oppressed to prove that they are worthy of humane treatment. I believe that it is intentional that it is the Samaritan, the oppressed, who is cast in the role of the helper in the parable. It is expected that the downtrodden has to keep proving their worth. And it's a losing battle, right? Since each act of evil by one is attributed to the entire group, while acts of good are deemed atypical and done in spite of the person's social status. So oppressed people are vilified for anything wrong done by one, but do not get to be heroes when a member does something right. I hold my breath every time I watch or listen to the news and a crime is being reported until the race of the perpetrator is revealed, because I know that if it is a black male, my nephew might suffer for that. It might have adverse consequences to my sweet, loving, and gentle Dimitri, a black man. I wonder, for those of us who identify as white, if you give a second thought when a perpetrator is revealed to be white, if it makes an impression on you at all. And not that it should. At the same time, it is a privilege to not have to worry about such things. For black people, others insist on telling us our stories and telling who we are. And it's never flattering. The stories told about us purport that we are no better than the beast, that we are inferior to other humans. It is told that we are barbaric. It is told that we are inept, that we are violent, that we are imbeciles, that we are aesthetically hideous, we are criminals, we are abhorrent, we are idiots, soulless, damned, and so on. Consequently, we are unworthy of love and compassion, undeserving of equitable treatment, that we should perhaps hide away and not make waves. We ought to be grateful for what we've been allowed to have, for we merit less. That we should somehow be ashamed of who we are, apologize for it. We are looked down upon for not having the resources we need when so much has been taken from us. We are judged harshly when we fail, yet it is presumed that we will fail. We are expected to do much with little or nothing, and we are called lazy when we don't succeed. We exist in a body that has to earn grace, which is freely offered to others. Those are the stories, more often than not, that are told about us. One of the most damaging effects of such stories is that the negative stereotypes can come to be internalized. Even worse, without realizing it, we preserve the very system that subjugates us by allowing ourselves to be seen through the lens of those who consider us inferior. So we spend our lives aspiring to be more like the oppressor while continuously devaluing ourselves. As Toni Morrison noted in the reading from earlier, we sometimes accept, like a beast of burden, the whip of a stranger's curse and the mindless menace it holds, along with the scar it leaves. But who we are, in fact, is glorious and mediocre. We are brave and we are cowardly. We are capable of tremendous love and extreme acts of violence. We are brilliant and we are foolish. We are humble and arrogant. We are loving and compassionate, yet hateful and cruel. We are law-abiding and we break the law. We are woke and we are dead asleep. Generous and avarice. We are sages and can be imprudent. We are divine creatures and we don't believe in God. We are perfect and flawed. We are strong and we are fragile. And we are a resilient people who have endured, for better or for worse, so much atrocity, so much pain, so much suffering. We have been disregarded, trampled on, and lied on, and yet we have survived and even thrived. We are all those things and more. Accordingly, we are worthy of love and compassion, deserving of just treatment, to be celebrated and offered grace, earned or unearned, to be fully seen. I mentioned to you how a shift happened for me as I reflected on the prayer on Jericho Road. Prior to that shift, I was certainly guilty of not seeing the Good Samaritan as a person connected to a people with a history who also deserve to be seen fully, not in a one-dimensional way or a mascot. So I set out to learn more about Samaritans outside of the context of a parable from the Bible. I know that I am limited in this endeavor by not being in relationship with anyone from Samaria, but make no mistake, I'm well aware that this learning is for my own growth. It doesn't change anything about who Samaritans are and will continue to be. Their humaneness is not contingent on what I know about them or my bestowing that on them. It is their birthright, as it is the birthright of any people and the people I'm sharing this planet with. And as it is for the people with whom I share a history by virtue of being a member of the same race. I wonder if there are stories of people you might have heard before that might need a second look. I invite you to look at such stories with fresh eyes and renewed curiosity. I encourage you to question what might have been left out and for whose benefit is the story being told. The Good Samaritan parable was certainly not told for the benefit of any Samaritan, nor are the stories told about Black people for their benefit or for our benefit. I still subscribe to the teachings of the parable. It is right that race and ethnicity should not dictate who we help in moments of crisis, as everyone is our neighbor, that we need to do right by one another regardless of beliefs or background. At the same time, the most neighborly thing we can do for another is to afford them their whole story and their full humanity. Join me now in singing our closing hymn, Love Will Guide Us. Words will be on the screen.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hot night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep inside you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Yes, let's love guide us. Out of the flames of fear, we rise with courage of our deepest convictions to stand for justice, inclusion, and peace. Out of the flames of scrutiny, we rise to proclaim our faith with hope to heal a fractured and hurting world. Out of the flames of doubt, we rise to embrace the mystery, wonder, and awe of all there is and all there is yet to be. Out of the flame of hate, we rise with the force of love, love that celebrates our shared humanity. Out of the flames we rise. Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal. Beloveds, worship has ended, and now the service truly begins.
Please join us as we extinguish the flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And hopefully next Sunday, here.
Well said.